Hi there and welcome back to another NJS instructional video. In this video I'm going to show you what a scored piston looks like utilizing these two STIHL chainsaws. Now we have here a STIHL 036 and also a STIHL 023. Now both have scored pistons and both aren't actually working at the moment. However, the 036 is by far the worst. Utilizing these two chainsaws I'm going to show you what a scored piston looks like, which is a bit different to a seized piston. A seized piston is one where the piston's actually welded itself to the cylinder chamber. However, it's not the case with these two chainsaws. I'm going to show you what a scored piston looks like, what to watch out for when buying a second-hand chainsaw, how they possibly became scored over the years of service, and what the implications are. Now, one of the easiest ways to check for a scored piston is to actually remove the muffler and also the spark plug just to get a little bit more light into that cylinder chamber, and then we can actually check the piston and also the cylinder bore. So let's start off with the 036. So by removing the muffler, it gives us really good access and visual into that combustion chamber, so the cylinder, the bore walls, as well as the piston. So I'm just going to pull on the starter cord just very slowly, and you'll be able to see that the piston's rising and falling. So it indicates to me that it's not seized. However, you will be able to see that it is heavily scored. Now I don't know if I'll be able to capture it on the video, so I'll also take some photos as well. Right, so here we go. So you can see that those indents or those grooves are the scoring that we're looking for. And it's quite deep. Now the actual cylinder bore, so the walls around the piston, look relatively good. So it just seems to be the piston, at least from what we can see on the exhaust side. Now a scored piston is usually more likely to happen on the exhaust side rather than the carbureted side. Now for the purposes of this video, I'm just going to grab a screwdriver and just gently run along that piston, just to kind of indicate to me how deep those grooves are. So that scoring is fairly deep. Now even the piston rings are smooth with the actual piston surface, which indicates to me that there's actually a lot of wear and that the piston actually doesn't have any compression, hence why this chainsaw probably isn't working. However, you may be able to see that the cylinder wall, the bore that is actually fairly clean. There is a little bit of scoring, but not to the extent as to what the piston has. So why and how does a piston score like this? Well, there are two possibilities. One is dust entering into the engine, and dust entering into the engine via the air cleaner or the air filter acts like a sandpaper, so it abrades the surfaces of the piston as well as the cylinder bore. And the second is linked to wear and tear. So as the motor's working over time and its use, things start to break off or break down. So metal flakes, for example, in the cylinder walls or from the piston or even the piston rings, and that can act like an abrasion against that piston as it's moving up and down. Now that over time will eventually erode some of the surfaces, and that's what you've seen in this piston here, where it's got deep scoring, and it could be those metal filings, for example, over time have actually scored the piston. And what that will eventually contribute to is a lower compression, so the piston doesn't actually seal as well against the cylinder bore. And with that low compression, we're not going to get the combustion or the power that we need. And like in this chainsaw, eventually it just died. So in order for us to actually get this up and running, we'll probably need to replace the piston. Now that's quite a big job for someone who knows what they're doing. So let's have a look at the 023 chainsaw and see what we find. So we have here the 023, and similarly I'm just going to pull on that starter cord so you can see the piston going up and down. You can see that the scoring, it's a bit hard to see again on camera, but you can see that the scoring is there, but it's not as bad as what we had on the 036. Now on this chainsaw, the cylinder bore seems to be a little bit more scored than what we saw on the 036. However, the piston wasn't as scored, so that's quite an interesting thing to observe. Like the 036, this chainsaw also isn't operating, and it could be due to that low compression because of the air leaks that go through the scoring. So what's so bad about scoring? Well, scoring is a result of abrasion, and what it does, it eventually lets air to pass by and not be used for that combustion of the fuel. So it results in air leaks and then lower compression in the actual combustion chamber. Now a good piston and cylinder will have a nice shiny and smooth surface as opposed to a scored surface. Now here is an example of a scored piston. Now this piston has come out of a Briggs & Stratton lawnmower engine, but the principles of a scored piston, as you'll see around the piston surface all around, are still the same. So there you have it. We had two different examples of chainsaws with scored pistons, and hopefully that's given you greater insight into what to look for when it comes to buying a second-hand chainsaw and dealing with a scored piston. I hope you found this video informative. Don't forget to like it, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and hit that bell notification icon. Thanks for watching.